Alright guys, this is it. Welcome to the final episode of the Gran Turismo 4 Germanlocke. And as you can tell, my voice is probably a little bit deeper. I've been awake for I've been out of bed, I should say, for maybe 20 minutes. I was just eager to get this filmed. It's Memorial Day. I'm spending time with my fiance today, so I wanted to kind of get this out of the way before she got here. Since me and her don't live together. But today we're going to be starting the Gran Turismo World Championships. My plan is to have it all in one video versus how I did it back in 2021 when I did my Gran Turismo 4 Let's Play, where I broke them up 2 races per video. I just wanted to give you guys one super long final episode. So some stuff that's developed off camera, or I guess off screen really, because there's no camera on me, is that I got my wheel working. I actually figured out how to get my wheel paired up with PCSX2, and it works phenomenal with Gran Turismo 4 out of the box. So I'm actually using it right now. The same T300RS I used in my Gran Turismo 7 live streams is now functional here. And I am kind of able to get it working with Gran Turismo 3 and like Gran Turismo Concept that we showcased here last week. But it takes a little bit extra work. I have to change some settings around on it manually, but with the default settings, it works perfectly fine in Gran Turismo 4. So you guys are going to see me take on the GTWC this time with the wheel versus when I did this in 2021 with a controller. So we got our Audi R8 race car ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and slap nitrous on it because I didn't realize that I hadn't done that a few months ago. A few days, however long ago it was when I bought this car. So we're going to go ahead and get nitrous on. I'm pretty much going to use it as like a temporary overtake system. I'm going to leave it at its standard setting as well. I'm not going to go ahead and extend it more than I have to. So game is saved, and we are going to head into the race. There may be periods where the race is uncommentated, and that's just because, quite frankly, this is really drawn out, and I try to lock in really hard when I do these races. We've got 10 races, I believe. And some of these are fairly lengthy, the most lengthy of such being like Motegi, Hong Kong, Seoul, stuff like that. I believe all these races take about the same amount of time to do, though. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, loading up into our first track. This is Tokyo, 10 laps of Tokyo. And this is kind of unfortunate, seeing we have the Minolta already. The Vertigo, as we all know, is no challenge. The R9 2CP is pretty good. The CLK GTR is pretty alright. And the R89CP, or R89C race car is pretty fast. But the R8 is actually one of the more highly recommended cars. And obviously, none of these, are, other than the Mercedes, are German, other than my already R8. So, let's get started. And we are racing in Tokyo with the T300 RS and the Audi R8. 10 laps here. Should be pretty fun. I didn't check to see if my tires were set up as they should be. So, let's see if we can make some moves here going into this chicane here. I will say the wheel definitely feels funny with this game. Like, it's definitely different with the drivers for the PCSX2 stuff. But we're already up in a P4, so we're making good progress. Little bump. That's okay. I didn't really play around with this too much last night. I pretty much just verified that everything would work. And then went from there, and Tokyo is always a track that is brutal with me. It's a track that I don't have much experience with a wheel on, because I don't think it was in many games that I played with wheels, because I don't think it was in Gran Turismo 6 at all. And that was like the one I played with the wheel the most, and even then, I was most of the time on controller. Alright, let's see what this thing can do in the straight. These Group C cars are fast. Let's see if we can kind of keep up with this modern LMP car. Well, modern for the time LMP car. See, the issue I'm having is the wheel becomes extremely unstable at high speed and starts shaking rather violently. Did I get bumped? I did get bumped. I was wondering why I was not slowing down well in that corner. Maybe there's a way to fix the vibration in the wheel. I'm not entirely sure. I'm just kind of going for it. So we got the Minolta and the other Nissan right in front of me. Go for the pass on the Minolta there. I don't think I've driven this car much than like the couple of test laps I did last night. So definitely need to change some settings with it. I definitely don't think the tires are set up right. Hopefully we can build enough of a gap to where I can get a free pit stop. Which may be difficult with these guys. They're fast. Ah, I botched it. I tried to lift just enough and wound up sending it straight into that wall. City tracks with these tight walls and stuff have never really been my favorite, especially when I do stuff like that. Once we get on like a more traditional track, I might be a lot faster because I won't be making dumb mistakes like that. I heard that Nissan on my bumper. Yeah, this is the biggest issue. The wheel becomes super unstable in the straights. But now that I've got it functioning with Gran Turismo 3 as well, our prize car run is going to be entirely done on the wheel. It should be really fun once we get to that. Probably won't use this for the Gran Turismo 5 stuff. I'll leave that because I don't want to give RPCS 3 any more complications than I have to. Because RPCS 3 is already really unstable with Gran Turismo 5. Ah. This sector is still killing me. I'll get the hang of it eventually. I didn't play this game much with the wheel at all when I was younger, because I had a Driving Force GT, which I loved. It was my very first sim wheel. And the only reason I replaced it was because I wanted the H-pattern shifter. So I had a G920 for a bit, and then I bought my Thrustmaster to change it up. I love my Logitech wheels, and more than likely, unless I go like Fanatec or Moza in the future, I probably will get another one. Man, the instability at speed is killing me. It's like really throwing me for a loop, and they are still on me. That is wild. But I guess my late sectors have not been great, and it's two of the faster Group C cars in the game against, you know, a more aerodynamic car on a very fast track. It's gonna get some really good laps under my belt, and I'll be able to run away from them. Alright, come on. See, you're already pulling away. All I needed was just some clean driving, and I'll be able to get away from them just fine. Not enough brakes. It's fine. This is fun though. I'm loving this game with the wheel. It definitely makes it a lot more fun, more enjoyable, and I'm able to drive with most of my skill set intact because obviously the physics this is new to me for the most part. So, you know. See, I start getting clean driving and I can get away from them pretty easily. That's just the dilemma, is just getting away from them. I've noticed if I keep the wheel slightly turned on these straights, like, which works well with how the Tokyo straightaway is. It doesn't shake quite as violently. Now, obviously, in a normal playthrough, the Minolta is by far the faster car here. And it is the car of choice. But since we're doing this with German cars, there's either the CLK or this, really. There's not really... I mean, the Sauber C9 would have been a good option, but I don't think I had access to it easily. I don't know. I think that's one of the endurance prizes. I botched that so bad. We're 3 seconds up on the Minolta. I can tell the Vertigo's already fallen behind, as it does, which is unfortunate. Poor little Gillette Vertigo. Yeah, those driving aids are interfering with my cornering. You can kind of see in the video the wheel shaking because it's like pulling the car every which way. Not too wide. It's okay. I'm still getting used to this. See what this thing can get up to. Goodness gracious, 235 miles an hour. 240 miles an hour. That is insane. Man, this thing is fast. So the Minolta's in the pits. I figured it would have to. Those things are so hard on tires. You have to really strategize with your tires on those. We've now got an 8-second gap to the second place Nissan, so a really good gap for us right now. But that late pit stop definitely just stole the win from that Toyota. which is a shame for it because we all know the Minolta's freaking insane. The Gillette's stopping too. That's way too late in the race for pit stops, guys. Come on. There's no way they couldn't have made those tires last 2 laps. That's wild. The R89's stopping on the last lap. I had this race in the bag just because of terrible strategy on their parts. Wow. Could have won this off strategy alone because I didn't have to stop. So this thing's not terrible on fuel and it's got decent tire wear. Yeah, 34 seconds now because of that. All because I didn't have to stop fuel. Nope. Well, it's going to be less than 34 seconds now. We're going to start pinballing everywhere. All right, and that's our first race win of the GTWCs. And I gotta say, it doesn't feel as good of a win because it was a strategy-based win. I wouldn't have won that if it weren't for the AI opponents not having really good tire strategy. The Minolta was able to bring it back, though, and I managed to lap the CLK GTR somehow. I'm guessing it was in the pits when I passed the finish line. But yeah, that was interesting. I've never, seen that. So, that's something. But that's race 1 down. So we'll bump on over to race 2, which I believe is Hong Kong, which was always the race that gave me grief. No, it's Motegi, that's right. So yeah, I'm going to pause recording for a quick second and go take care of some business, and I'll be back in a moment. Alright, it is time for race 5 of the GTWC. Not gonna lie, it's been quite a few days since I filmed the last snippet. It's been almost half a week. Today's actually the day this video was supposed to go up, but unfortunately, work kind of took that away. We've got 5 races left. We've got this and a couple others. I don't remember the exact, what's what I'm looking for, tracks that we'll be paying visits to over the next few minutes, but I do know for a fact that we are here at El Capitan, one of my favorite tracks in GT4. So far, we've got a pretty good lead in the standings. I could pretty much take our race off at this point. I guess I really couldn't, but the Hong Kong outing really screwed me, so we're almost at the point we could take a race off. But yeah, we're going to get right into it. Get into our battle here at El Capitan. Hong Kong was a rough outing. I know that race didn't have any commentary, but y'all could probably imagine what I was thinking to myself that entire time. So we are racing at El Capitan. A pretty slow start for us. But yeah, this thing should be more than potent enough to get through 11 laps here with pretty minimal disaster. Outside of just bumping this Nissan right out of the gate. That poor Vertigo. It's a shame they horribly ruined its numbers. And decided to stick a GT car in a field of prototypes. Alright, so we're already only 5/10 behind the Minolta 88CV here. Let's go ahead and scream around it. So right off the gate, we're doing much better than we were before. Oh, yep, never mind. That corner has always been like a bit of a problem for me. As a lot of you guys remember when I was going through the license test, that corner proved to be extremely problematic for me. And that was in like a SL500 or an SL55, one of the two. So you can only imagine a car that's like 3 times as fast that I'm going to have some difficulties with it. Goodness gracious, these tires need to warm up. The latter half of El Capitan's always what's gotten me. First little bit, no problem. This latter half, though, absolutely brutal. But once we get these tires warmed up, it will be no issue for me. Oh, come on. Seriously, the spin? Come on. All that hard work's gone already. That's great. That's what you love to see. Especially on a straight where you don't really have the raw speed that the older Group C cars have. See if we can fight back around this Nissan here with relative ease. And of course, this car understeers off the road because GT4 physics are garbo. Ah, come on, seriously? I know I turned that wheel way earlier than that, and it just understeers immediately. Is that just a thing with Audis and me? They just understeer an indefinitely large amount? Because that was what was screwing me up in Hong Kong. I was struggling to keep the thing turning, no matter what level I turned the steering wheel. I'm barely able to fight these other Group C cars, and I need to get back up in front of the Toyota that's currently leading the race. To turn in super early, which goes completely against my driving style. That corner is going to prove to be the death of me this race, isn't it? Come on. Shut the door on me, why don't you? This guy is completely giving me no space. There we go. Alright, we're charging on the Toyota. Let's see if we can make something happen here in the early portion of the lap. Come on, seriously? This car doesn't snap enough. That and the freaking physics. I'm gonna complain about that a lot this video, aren't I? The physics of GT4 are such an enigma to me. Because I've never, like, every GT game since has been perfectly fine. And then this happens. Oh my goodness. I am not this bad. Why is this car driving like this now? I had no issues last episode other than the race to Hong Kong, and now I can't drive this car. It's ridiculous. I've never had this issue. It's ridiculous. I don't know. My gosh. Come on. I almost want to retire this race. It's a waste of time now. I'm 12 seconds behind because this car can't drive in a straight line. And it can't decide what it wants to do. If it wants to spin out or if it wants to take the corner like a champ or if it wants to understeer into a wall. It's going to take a miracle now to win this. Yep. Oh my goodness, dude. Seriously. And of course when I spin out, I'm always facing the wrong way when I regain control. I don't even know where to begin at this point. We're really down. I mean, almost in last after I was leading the race. Because this car can't... What in the world? I was going straight and it hit the brakes. I don't even know how to drive this thing now. I'm completely just blind at this point. This thing has turned into a giant handful. I pretty much have to beg the thing to drive right. I've got 7 laps to turn this around. It's going to be 7 nearly perfect laps. When I know this car is way more capable than this. And it doesn't help when that Toyota's actively pulling away from me somehow. When it was struggling to stay ahead of me for the longest time. I'm going to have to rely on tire strats again. Why does the AI find every way to freaking... See, if he'd gotten out of my freaking way, that wouldn't have happened. Come on, reverse. I'm going to fall into freaking last behind the vertigo because the AI can't get out of my way. This is turning into Hong Kong twice. When this is a race I should be leading. I don't even know, guys. This is absolutely ridiculous. And my cup just fell over. That has all my pencils in it. Just spilled all over my desk. That's just even more awesome. I've got 6 laps now to somehow go from falling behind to last to taking the race lead and winning this somehow if I want to have any chance of maintaining this. This is astronomically ridiculous. I don't know what's gone on with this car in the span of only a few races where I spin out if I even touch the wall. And I can't find reverse to save my life, apparently. There's no way this car is that bad. Especially when the GT Wiki praises this thing and is like, oh yeah, this is the best car that's not the Minolta to take out here. And then I go and get freaking blasted because the thing can't corner. Without sending me careening into a wall when I hit the brakes. I'm now 45 seconds behind. That's a pit stop and a half. The Minolta could practically stop twice back to back and still win at this point because this car can't figure out what it wants to do. Crying out loud. I turned too early. Why is this car driving like complete dog water all of a sudden? Or if I turn in too early, then it wants to grip. Because I know I drive better than this. Anyone who's watched me play any other game knows with this wheel I'm pretty darn fast. Inconsistent, but fast. And I can't even be fast because I can't even be remotely consistent because this car drives like crap. See, I shouldn't have had to do that. I should not have had to switch into second gear for that corner. I'm almost a lap behind here because of this thing. Crying out loud, I freaking hate this car. It can't corner. It's not fast enough in the straight to beat the Group C cars. Like, and then if you even look at it funny, it snaps. It's like driving an 80s 911 Turbo, but worse. Come on. You got way too much ground to make up. If I had to guess, they're going to be pitting in the next lap or so. And that's still not going to put me in contention of even a podium at this race at this point because this car is so bad. See, I was on the brakes at the right braking point, and I still almost understeered off the track. See, I don't even know how to drive this car right. I can't. It's just physically not capable of it here. I refuse to finish in dead last, though. I'm going to get back around at least the vertigo. Because, I mean, I shouldn't be in this in the first place. I should be in the lead of this race right now. It's going to take a miracle to catch these guys. I love when I hit the downshift paddle and it doesn't downshift. That's cool. Crap! Freaking kidding me, dude. Get on a decent rhythm and the thing screws me over again. Alright, I'm done with this. I quit. I'm retiring from this one. There's no point. I don't even know what to say to that. That was a complete waste of my time. Which is great, because now I'm going to have to do all 10 races. Because now I'm 2 points behind the car. I should have absolutely curb stomped that race. That's great. That's what all could I have hoped for that. So let's hope we can bring it back here. I've never experienced a car that can't drive like that. And this car was so dominant. How was it so dominant if I can't even drive in a straight line, let alone take it through a corner? Hit the brakes and it just spins out. Also, why has this been entirely street circuits so far? With the, like, yeah, this has been entirely street circuits. Which by far are the tracks I struggle at the most. Because they're all super close quarters. Alright, we're already on this. That's great. I'm completely facing the wrong way. Once again, as soon as I hit the brakes, the car just completely spins. It just comes unglued the moment the brakes are introduced. I don't even know how to fix that, honestly, because I can't adjust brake balance on the fly like you can in the newer games. And now I'm already falling behind the Minolta, which is probably going to keep me from actually winning this now. So, I mean, I'm kind of already demoralized because of the Hong Kong performance, followed by the El Capitan, and now I'm struggling with the same issues I had at El Capitan with this car. Only this track's just a bit more forgiving because it doesn't undulate quite so much and send me flying the moment I I take a hill, because it's a pretty flat track. And of course I lack the horsepower, apparently, which is nuts considering this car has over 800 horsepower to beat the Group C cars in the straights, which unfortunately includes that Minolta Toyota. So I have to rely on drafting to at least make a dent in the progress here. See if I can figure out how to get this thing to not spin. I can literally hear him off to my left, so I was trying to give some space, because unlike the AI, I actually try to drive pretty clean. I just can't help when they get directly my way when I definitely have the speed to pass. I have to really focus on my braking points being completely straight, which is something I can do here that I couldn't do. Both at Hong Kong and El Capitan, they both have kind of braking into a corner, which this car just apparently isn't capable of doing without killing itself, so. We're making a dent at least, but it's going to take a lot more than... Okay, why in the world are these guys keeping up with me? These guys should not be able to just whip right back around me like that. I know I'm not taking the corners that slow. Apparently I am, so that's also helping my case out a lot here. There's no way this car is that slow. Like, I make almost 900 horsepower, which I know is more than this ACV, the 8.8 CV at least, but like, come on, man. It's like I'm getting absolutely ruined in these corners somehow. And these Nissans are immediately able to not only catch me, but they're trying to take me out actively with it. Ah, crap. Come on. I should not be struggling this much. This car absolutely crushed it at Tokyo and some of the other early races. Why am I struggling now? Other than it's a bunch of freaking street circuits, because apparently Polyphony thought that was a great idea. Was to make an entire like makeshift WEC type deal, entirely street circuits. Because now I'm in third when I should be fighting at the front. And I'm probably going to get passed by the other Nissan as well, because apparently I lack the skill set to absolutely demolish this with this car. And I have no clue what's different, because I'm usually faster on the wheel.
And it's not like my driving is even that bad. I just apparently lack low speed corner speed. Because they're absolutely running away from me at this point. I don't get it. I really don't. This thing is so unstable. Absolutely freaking ridiculous. I'm actually going to lose this championship because this car can't behave. And apparently just as slow. The advantage is I'm at least within arm's reach, where if they go for a pit stop, which they have every race so far, and I wouldn't know about El Capitan because I didn't finish that race, that I'm within arm's reach to overtake during pit stops, because I probably won't have to make a stop, judging by the fact that we're just under halfway through the race and my tires are still bright green and are showing no signs of extreme degradation yet. So that's just going to have to be what I rely on. I got to stay within arm's reach. It's just annoying because this car should be a lot faster than this. I mean, all the stuff I read on this car was about how dominant it could be. And I know I'm a halfway decent driver, as much as El Capitan definitely didn't show that. So I have no clue why I'm struggling this hard. The advantage is at least keeping the other Nissan at bay. But I'm consistently losing even more and more time to that race-leading Toyota every lap. I'm trying to avoid the curbs because they're almost as bad as Laguna Seca, where it just kind of kicks you up in the air if you hit the curb too hard. Which I guess is kind of the point of those curbs, but... I don't know, I thought that might be beneficial. It looks like it didn't really help me all that much. Actually gained a decent bit of time on that. Gosh, the instability of this wheel on this game, I swear. The violent shaking on the straights is absolutely killing me. And that may be partially why it snaps when it hit the brakes. It's just the game, for some reason, feeling the need to shake my wheel rather violently when I'm at speed. I was not ready. Okay. Apparently I'm slow again because I just lost an entire second over the last lap at this exact point on the track, so I'm just having to rely a lot on tire strats, I guess, here. Apparently he's found a lot of pace out of nowhere because I had him as tight knit as I apparently can get him, and apparently now I've gotten really slow. Yeah, apparently I just suck. But luckily, it looks like my hopes on tire strat is paying off, because looks like I'm gonna be able to build a decent lead, considering they just entered the pits and I was able to get right back around. Looks like the entirety of the front of the grid outside of me is taking pit stops this lap, so it looks like the Minolta is going to be right behind me, so I'm going to have to just drive the wheels off, unless that was the Vertigo, but I assume that was actually the Minolta that just exited the pits. And he's going to be on fresh tires too, so it's going to be a bit of a workout for these last 5 or 6 laps. I'm just going to have to drive the wheels off this car. I don't know what it is about that corner. I can't seem to take it. Railing that one, you too. still managed to tag the wall. I just love getting blocked by the AI when they're back markers. Trying to lap them. They're defending like they're on the lead lap, and I'm fighting them for the position. Alright, one more lap. Let's make it count. Tires are worn. I am getting a insane amount of oversteer now. I'm not liking this, that's for sure. This is putting me in a tight spot with only a few corners left, and I'm trying to defend this race win hard because I need it, honestly. That rear right is giving out. Oh, great. Yep, that's absolutely what I needed right now. Thank goodness that's just the vertigo coming around the corner. But I know the Minolta's not far behind it. Hard to figure out how to keep things interesting, I guess. Well, I think we should be back in the lead of the standings here. By 2 whole points when we were almost a full race win ahead. So, not our best showing, but we're making do. I still got a few races left, honestly. Hopefully we'll be done with some street circuits for a minute. Like, I think the Motegi Speedway is the only one that was not a street circuit. And we're at a street circuit. How wonderful. Ugh. You know, why don't we do a qualifying lap? Just to ensure that we get a race lead at the start of the race. Because I know my 1 lap pace is absolutely wonderful. Actually, what I'm going to do, just to ensure that I get a decent lap, we're going to go in and we're going to put this car on the softer compound tires that I have. Like, full quali spec, like, which isn't much considering it's mediums, but it's enough of a compound change to give us some benefit here. And I have access to the nitrous as well, so I'll be able to fire through. It just dumps me off right there. These low speed corners are going to be the death of this car. I can already tell. This may be a race, so I'll probably have to pit. Should be good enough for pole. And that it was, so we're just going to go ahead and back out. Because now we should be starting on pole position. So that's going to be a huge help. And honestly, something I should have done at Hong Kong. I may have had a better shot. We're going to switch to a more hardcore kind of setup for the tires that I saw the GT Wiki suggest. So let's see what happens. We're 2 points ahead in the standings, and it's actually, the Minolta's actually starting in 3rd, so we'll be able to fight pretty hard here out of the gate. I mean, the Nissans I'm not quite so worried about. It's that Toyota, and there's a reason the Minolta has the reputation it has. It's a very fast car, but all I know is now this has added a lot of understeer to the mix, having these softer compound tires up front, because this is the setup I haven't tried yet, so kind of risky trying it when I'm already in a bit of a championship battle. I knew that might happen. Our pole position is now for nothing, because of course that kind of stuff would happen. Of course that would happen. That's just great. That was a complete waste of time even doing the qualifying lap, honestly. Now we gotta defend the freaking CLK. Why is that bump even there? Like, that's the wide line. That's the line you're supposed to take when you're entering a corner. Especially one like that. Like, that just completely screwed me. It's not at all the start we needed. But the advantage is these guys, with the low-speed corners, they're probably going to have extremely high tire degradation, tire wear. It's probably going to be through the roof on these guys. So maybe that'll help my chances here of really playing in with tire strat, even though it's looking pretty good so far that I'm able to recover from that really dumb issue with this track. Like, why is that bump even there? Because that easily could have been a race ender on lap 1 for me. Now, luckily, much like Hong Kong, this is a fairly high lap count. About a minute and a half each lap. Or under a minute and a half each lap, I guess I should say. Fairly short laps. I just hate that I can't really drive this car here because this bump right here completely will end my race if I hit it too hard. And it messes my line up because I can't shoot too wide. Or else I just absolutely just cream that spot. We're able to get around one of the Nissans, though. We're at least back in the podium positions, and the Toyota seems to be getting pretty hampered by this track. Just gonna hope that I can swing this thing back around him. There's a lot more oversteer with this setup, but I'm able to balance it out pretty well because the car's actually fairly controllable now. I can imagine when the rears wear out, it's going to be absolutely awful. But maybe at the same time, there'll be an appropriate amount of wear on the front because we're on the softer medium compound to where it may not be quite so bad. And I may be a little bit, it might be more stable at that point, honestly. Because really worn out mediums probably will drive way better than equally worn out hards. That was a bit choppier than I would have liked. Trying to keep the revs low so I'm not blowing the tires off too much and wearing out those rears faster than they need to be. Oh no, come on. Seriously? Why is this car spinning out so much? That hurt my finger too. That's I was within a 2-second gap of them. Seriously? This is what I get for turning off ASM. Because everyone's like, oh, the driving aids hamper you. And I decided to listen, and now it's biting me in the butt. Apparently this car needs it to drive. At least we've still got a good bit of the race left, so it's not like I'm in any major issues yet. I say that as I careen into the freaking wall. I'm definitely turning ASM back on for the next race, that's for sure. I've spent the majority of this video absolutely just annoyed with this car, which is really unfortunate because I should be enjoying this. This should be fun to me, not absolutely anger-inducing. And I have honestly no idea why this car is driving the way it is, or really what I can do to get it to actually grip up, because it's like, it almost refuses. It's got liftoff oversteer, it's got snap oversteer, it's got every imaginable form of oversteer. Too much oversteer. Like, I get to have a fast car, oversteer is technically faster than understeer, but at the same time, this is too much of it. I should not be struggling to drive this car. Luckily, again, I'm in the window for a pit stop to completely change this race, so I may be able to bounce back on the pit stops. But I am starting to see a tinge of yellow on the rears, which is worrying. Usually once the vertigo stops, the Group C boys aren't too far behind. I'm losing so much pace because this car can't corner, so I'm driving slower to compensate. Should not have to counter steer this car as much as I am right now. This is ridiculous. Having to fight this car so much. And then slowly and slowly just going to lead to them getting a free pit stop out of me. See, that right there is going to just be what ends this race for me. It doesn't help this track is entirely 30 to 40 mile an hour corners with one long straight that can send you flying if you hit it the wrong way. I'm just relying on tire strategy at this point. We're about to be halfway through the race here, so. Yeah, I mean, it's going to take almost an entire pit stop for me to be able to salvage this, which is rather frustrating because once again, this car's inability to drive is absolutely ruining me. Because I can't trust it, so now I'm driving slow because I can't trust the car. crying out loud. I didn't even do anything that time. I was trying to take the corner. I'm going to be finishing probably 4th in this because I'm pretty much outside of the window for a pit stop strategy to save me. But Vertigo's making it stop this lap, which means more than likely, and so is the AMG, more than likely at the end of this lap, they'll be taking their pit stops as well. Which means I have to figure out a way to get within striking distance of them. I'm 20 seconds behind by the time... Well, it's more than that now because his car can't turn. So the Nissan's stopping. It looks like they're all going to stop. They typically all stop around the same time. I'm going to have to rely on a miracle here to come out of the pits ahead of them all. And then not completely butcher it, because this car's been really good at that so far. There's one of the Nissans. There's the Minolta exiting the pits. One of the Nissans did beat me out of the pits, so we might as well kiss this race win goodbye. I just got to stay ahead of the Toyota. And I got to figure out how to manage these freaking rear tires for 6 or 7 laps that are already lighting up orange. The only advantage is they have cold tires. This is where I should have been to start the race. It's actually where I was to start the race until I freaking bungled it because of a stupid track design issue. I'm gonna try just to stay in higher gears, keep wheel spin to a minimum. See if that can... And it absolutely butchers me. Come on. Ugh, crying out loud. I absolutely hate this car. I'm going to have to retire again. How in the world is this car so terrible? Everyone said the R8 was supposed to be really good to drive, and I'm absolutely struggling with it. This is ridiculous. We're almost a race win down in the title. Luckily, we only have a few races left, so it's not like I have forever to lose this again. Re-enabled ASM because I apparently can't go without it for this car to be at least semi-drivable. Come on, slow cars need to stay off the line. We're onto some tracks I actually know at least. So I just recently grinded to get the Master S10 license dealt with, so And got all gold on it. Got gold on that. I haven't gotten all gold on Master S just yet. See, now I can drive the car because it's not spinning out every minute. Okay, can't quite take that flat out. That is definitely my mistake. That was definitely my fault, and I will take full credit for that mistake. That was me being risky and it not paying off. Luckily, it's lap 1 of 9, so there's, and judging by how fast I was able to catch everyone on lap 1, I can only imagine it'll be fairly similar second time around. What in the heck was that? Come on. And the sad part is I can't disable traction control to quickly spin me around. Oh, seriously? What in the world? I'm over this game, guys. This whole thing is finding every way it can to screw me. And it's ridiculous. I can't control the car, so I turn the assist back on, and then I get pit maneuvered by one of the freaking AI. Now, once again, I'm 20 seconds behind the Toyota that I should be in front of, that I was in front of before I decided to be risky, I admit. I'm sure you guys don't enjoy me getting upset, but this is just absolutely ridiculous. I've spent almost 20 hours of my life for this series here, just to unlock this championship. And I buy the car. Everyone's like, yeah, you should buy the R8. The R8's the best car to use for this stuff if you're going to use a German car. And then I get absolutely clobbered by the AI, and then I can't drive the car without assist turned on because it's undrivable without. At least I know I'll have a good shot at Lasarth. I know that track like the back of my hand. I've done hundreds of laps of it. Almost as many as I've done, or probably more than Suzuka's probably not too far behind now at this point, honestly. I've done tons of laps. I've done a full-length F1 race here in Gran Turismo 7. And I would have won it had the power not gone out during it. Oh, that's just great. Can do that 1 lap ago perfectly fine, but then the very next lap I nearly crashed the car. Once again be put in a position I have to rely on tire strategy. Yep. Oh my gosh, dude. I am so over this. Even with assists on, this thing can't drive. I should not be having to defend the Mercedes. I should be in the lead of this freaking race. Oh yeah, you can stay in 6th and just go at it, and I nearly crash. Can't even trust the game at this point. It's telling me when to brake. And the wheel just shakes violently at speed. Which probably is the result of some of the snap oversteer on braking that I was dealing with. Yep. Yep, that sounds about freaking right for how this race has gone so far. Understeer directly into the dirt trap. Understeer, oversteer. This car can't decide what it wants to do, except for drive without spinning. Things turned into a Beyblade more times in this series than ever. I've never had any issues with a car like this before. In any GT game I've played. I've been playing this series since I was 4 years old. And I've never had a car this undrivable. Even the B5S4 that I complained so much about during the GT2 Plus was nothing compared to how hard this thing is to drive. And I was excited to give this car a shot because everyone praises its graces. Everyone's like, oh yeah, this is by far the best car, one of the best cars to use that isn't the Minolta for this series. And I'm struggling to keep it on the road. Where I totally shouldn't. And now I'm in a title fight for a series that I should be pretty comfortably in the lead of. With 3 races to go. And I'm having to once again rely on tire strategy to win this race. We're over halfway through the race and I'm still 20 seconds behind. See, the Vertigo is making its pit stop. Typically, that means that the Group C cars will typically follow, and I'm in a decent window to catch up to them. So maybe I have a shot here. So there's the Toyota going for the pit stop. It's going to lead me to also follow suit. It looks like one of them stayed out. But that just means they'll pit probably this lap, considering that its compatriots didn't. But that does shake up the order quite a bit, possibly. This does open up a bit of an advantage for me, because that does mean that the opponents are on cold tires, whereas I am on worn but hot tires, and I'm threatening the leader now. Come on, there we go. There's this I think this is probably the same one that tried to take me out of the race earlier on. And Karma gets him back because he just nearly spins out himself. R89 is making its pit stop now, so that just leads the R92 CP that was competing here only a few seconds behind me. But it appears to have slowed down? Or maybe that was the R89 that I was watching there. Maybe past the start-finish line in the pits. I hope that that's the R92 ahead of the Minolta there. I know it's highly doubtful, but considering they exited the pits around the same time, it definitely does beg the question of which of the two is ahead. There's the Mercedes making its pit stop. Probably the final pit stop of the race, honestly. Luckily for me, these tires appear to be hanging on for dear life this time around. And just like I thought, that they're having equal wear now. So that definitely helps me out a little bit. We're going to probably use up the nitrous here on the main straight. It's definitely been a rejuvenating win here. I just cannot stand the majority of these races I've had to rely on pit stop strategy instead of just raw outright pace. I mean, Tokyo was handed to me. I mean, Motegi was a race that I think I can cleanly won myself without the help of pit stop strategy. I obviously got clobbered at Hong Kong. I don't even know why I continued on that race other than scrounging for a point or two. Seoul, I mean, I barely had to rely on it. Probably another lap or so probably could have caught him. And, you know, I haven't won as many races as I hoped. And trust me, I would take second place with a heartbeat. Like, honestly, I know it's looked like I've rage quit a lot this whole time. I mean, it's just been races where it's just not feasibly possible for me to even podium. Such as El Capitan and at Paris. That was demoralizing. And I finished the Hong Kong race just for content's sake. But, it's definitely a bit of a rejuvenating race here, which is definitely lifting my spirits a little bit going into the final two races. But it definitely gives us a title fight I have to worry about now, which is probably the most difficult part of this, is that I don't handle pressure very well. So, and knowing that finishing this series and being able to jump into the game I want to play is definitely good motivation. So that's the goal here, is to win this out so that I can get started on GT3 prize car only sooner. Overshot a little bit, but we've got a giant enough lead where it's not going to affect me at all. And the aids have definitely helped out a lot here. And that is, for the first time in a minute, a race win. And I'm sure you guys are glad to not hear me getting upset for once this video. That was, again, relying on pit stop strategy, which I don't want to do. But now we're only 4 points behind the leader, that leading Toyota. I think it did finish in second, so that definitely didn't help my case very much. All right, 2 more races to go. Now we're talking. Thank goodness it's a track I know. But I'm going to go turn a fan on because it's really hot in here. Probably part of it's because I've been so mad the last 30 minutes. All right. So I don't think I'm going to go for the qualifier. I think this is going to be a race that I'll probably stand a pretty good chance at early on. I don't necessarily need the help. All right, let's get another good race in. Let's try not to have to rely on pit stop strategy. It's Grand Valley. It's a track that I have done plenty of laps around, and it shouldn't be too hard now with the assist turned on. I just need to not make any stupid mistakes that ruin this race for me. What's that? Me not having to use pit stop strategy to take the lead? An actual battle for P1? What's that? Me bungling it almost as quick, just like I had the last few races? That was a little bit dirty. I didn't even mean to do that. Well, at least y'all are getting something other than me getting mad at the car spinning out. It's a very fast track. Goodness. Forget how fast this track actually is on cars that aren't making 110 horsepower. I'm gonna try to use third more to control wheel spin. So using third instead of second. I mean, the speed's comparable, and it's keeping me from absolutely ruining these tires. And while fuel consumption isn't really any of my concern with this race, it's keeping that in check too. A little bit better that time. The corner's got to be the one I got to figure out, apparently. The biggest thing I'm struggling with using the wheel on this is definitely the instability of the wheel at speed. Like, it just starts shaking really violently. I don't know if that's cool. Yep, and of course right into the wall where it doesn't just bounce me off. It's super unstable at speed. I don't know if that's a PCSX2 thing or if that's actually how this is supposed to behave, because when I had my Driving Force GT and Gran Turismo 4 back in the day, this was something I didn't experience at all. So I have no clue if that's a correct deal there. Almost textbook orchestration of that. Once again, trying to keep it in third, not as much wheel spin, save these tires. I've got to have to play the long game to maintain the lead, which I desperately want to do at this point, because I want to win a race completely on merit. I don't want to win a race on tire strategy for once. Around 200 miles an hour, the wheel just starts shaking so aggressively. Why is it saying go into fifth gear for that corner, and then I do what it tells me to, and I wind up flying off the track? I've had a better line through here. Probably could have easily. I like this way more than the Grand Valley Highway 1. They completely ruined Grand Valley, which breaks my heart because Grand Valley's a really good track and it's timeless, and they ruined it. I love Polyphony. I don't know why they felt the need to break something that wasn't broken. At least it looks good. Alright, we're nearing the halfway point of the race here. About 5.5 laps. So far, this has been a much better race. And I figured it would. I mean, I figured this not only being a track that I know, but unlike all the street circuits, this car is much better suited for tracks like this, and definitely having all the ASM turned back on has been a huge lifesaver for this later half of the series. I just definitely hate the title fight that I'm in right now, and I'm going to have to rely on an absolute banger of a race at Lasarth to close this out. Which is fine, because I feel under no threat at Lasarth, because that's a track that I've spent probably close to hundreds of hours doing laps of. I think I have more laps on that than any other track I've ever driven, except Road Atlantis will be catching up, but I've driven it since the first time I ever played GT5. I believe that's when it started. Yes, Le Mans was in GT5, so I played it in GT5. I've done it here. I've done it, I've done it on GT6. I've done it on Forza. It's a track that I'm extremely familiar with. So I mean, I know that track well enough to where I don't feel under threat going into that. This is probably the last race where I feel like a little bit nervous about the result, but so far it's proven to be fairly low key. I mean, obviously some dilemmas with that last corner. You guys just saw me completely ruin it, but I mean, for one of only like 2 major incidents this entire race so far, which is good for me. Not too bad. But street circuits have never been my thing. I definitely am more of a permanent track kind of guy, and maybe that's part of why I hate the Highway 1 redesign of this track. Is they turned it into a street circuit, and I suck at street circuits. So it's just, the close quarters doesn't do well. It undulates a lot more, which, as you guys saw earlier, is something I struggle with. Stuff like that. I am definitely excited, though, to move into the GT3 video series we're going to be doing, which I'm going to talk more about at the end of this. Even though I know the majority of you are not going to watch that far, considering it's already been about an hour and a half of recording just on this segment since El Capitan. I mean, I know it's been lengthy, guys, and I appreciate those of you who have watched this far and put up with me yelling at this game for 30 minutes or close to an hour. So we're nearing the end, though. Got just a few laps to go. Obviously, the other cars are going to be making their pit stops soon, and we're in a good position because we don't have to. We can continue on. We're already in the race lead, so that's just going to lead to a Max Verstappening of this race, barring any crazy incidents that happen with me in these later laps of the race here. So definitely a lot more peaceful, definitely a lot easier on me after how difficult those last few races have been. Having to rely so much on strategy, which isn't something I enjoy. I much would rather rely on skill. But it's obvious that in some tracks, especially lower speed tracks like what you guys saw at Opera Paris, this car it's not meant for it, and it doesn't help that it's extremely oversteery, especially with snap oversteer. But a track like this, which is bigger, it's a bit faster, it allows it to take more advantage of the aerodynamic advantage that LMP1 cars have over Group C. Modern aerodynamics, I should say. It's definitely helping me out a lot here with keeping this thing in line. Alright, lap 8. Typically, once the Vertigo stops, the Group C cars follow, so that's what I'm watching. Oh, never mind. The Minolta has made its pit stop. It appears that the Nissan behind is continuing on another lap, which definitely is not going to bode well for the Minolta trying to keep its championship hopes alive. That's kind of a surprise. Typically, when one of them pits, the others follow, and typically the Vertigo pits first. I feel bad for the Vertigo because it was a back marker in Gran Turismo 3. It was a back marker in Gran Turismo 4. It was just as slow in GT5 and 6. Like, it's a car that has never really been good. And it hurts my heart a little bit because it's an interesting concept, and you know, it's had some moderate, you know, positive results in real life. I don't think it, off the top of my head, I don't think it ever won any races. I'd have to watch the video on that again. Come on. But it's always been a complete joke in the GT community, and it sucks because it's a good, I mean, it's an interesting looking car. I wouldn't necessarily go out on a limb and say it's a good looking car, but it's got really solid powertrains. It's, you know, it's definitely not a bad car. So to constantly see it at the back of the grid of these races is a little bit unfortunate. Maybe they'll bring it back in GT7 and they'll put it in Group 3 and give it its actual horsepower rating instead of just saying 900 horsepower like it does in this game. And it'd be fairly competitive in the Group 3 class. I would love to see that, actually. The Lister Storm and the Vertigo side by side once again, as those two cars kind of hold that idea down of kind of backmarker GT3 style cars. There goes that 1989 Nissan R89 making its pit stop here. That leaves the R92, I believe, still out. Actually, I believe that's the Minolta, the AMG, and the Gillette that are still out with me. So both Nissans have pit in, but it looks like maybe one of them is going to beat the Toyota out of the pits. I'm watching the minimap, and I should probably be driving. It's going to be close. Looks like the Toyota is going to successfully overtake that car. Maybe not. Huh, that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. So the Mercedes is making its stop now. The two Nissans have pitted out. The disadvantage for the Nissans are that Toyota is definitely going to be on warmer tires. So I'm watching intently because that will play out into the championship battle that I'm stuck in. Because if that Toyota finishes in third, that's definitely going to give me a nice bonus for points to keep me in the running of this race without too much difficulty. We got 2 more laps to go, and let's make it count. Tires are starting to light up orange. We've got a pretty large, a massive gap, and that should be a huge, huge thing for us. And we're still picking up pace. 41-second gap now. We've got more than enough room where if I wanted to make a pit stop, I could. I can tell you, though, these tires are giving out, and it's definitely going to make these last couple laps interesting, all things considered. But we have a 40-second gap, so it's not like I'm in any danger unless I just stop the car or have a major accident. Well, speak of the devil. No, we're still 45 seconds ahead almost, so we're still good. We're still good. And I just gotta hang on one more lap, so it's not even really worth stopping. Other than if I just wanted to cure the insane amount of understeer this car is showing off right now. We're gonna go ahead and hit the giggle gas though, as I would say back then. You know, I just realized though, something I harped on a lot during my original playthrough is a very specific corner in this track and how it appeals to the eye. Something I said quite a bit almost every time I was on this track back in 2021 during that playthrough of GT4. And we're nearing it, so. And here we are, the aesthetically pleasing location of Grand Valley. The bridge is actually very aesthetically pleasing. As much as I've made that kind of a running joke when it comes to me and Grand Valley, it actually is a good looking part of the track, and I will say for early 2000s course design on a PlayStation 2, they outdid themselves pretty well. Is it like the best looking thing in the world? Absolutely not. You throw this with Gran Turismo 7 and it's gonna look like crap. But I mean, considering the hardware in the early 2000s, it's a good looking game. Very aesthetically pleasing. You know, I do prefer Gran Turismo 3's art style significantly more than Gran Turismo 4's art style. That's fine. We're not in any danger, and I mean that front right is cooked, but we're gonna be just fine. One more corner to go, and we'll hit the spray just for good measure. And that is thankfully an extremely uneventful race win. Goodness, that was absolutely tough. That was really tough. Okay. One more to go. One more race to go. And we're actually still behind in the standings. That's insane. So it's all going to come down to Lasarth. Alright, I'm going to go grab a quick snack because I'm actually rather hungry. And I want to make sure I win this. So, actually, I'm in the lead by 2 points. Why did I think I was behind by 2 points? I was like, the math ain't mathin' on that. But I am going to go grab a quick snack because I'm actually rather hungry. So, that's what I'm going to go do now. Alright. One more race. Let's make this count. We got a 2-point lead in the championship. Race win here guarantees it. So let's make it count and make it happen. It's a track I know very well. So this shouldn't be horrible. A lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. All right, we are racing. One of the most timeless tracks in history, and a track that I've done an unnecessary amount of laps on. Is the Gillette actually like holding its own a little bit? Absolutely cold tires are going to make this a struggle for the first portion of the lap here. All right, we're on the back straight. Let's fire through and make something happen here. The Vertigo is holding its own. I'd love to see that. What I don't love is this wheel shaking so violently that I was like holding it as hard as I could, and it was still managing to twitch as violently as it did. All right, we got the other Nissan right in our view. Goodness gracious, this is brutal. Oh gosh. That's what ruined me at Suzuka. I'm not gonna let it ruin me again. Gosh, the shaking is absolutely awful. I wish I could stop. Yep, and that Nissan just completely ruined me. That's exactly what I needed there. Come on. That's a fixable gap, but if I didn't just get rear-ended in the corner, it wouldn't exist in the first place. I don't trust this car. This track, this version of Sartha doesn't have the runoffs that I'm typically used to seeing here, that you would see in like the newer versions of the track. It's a lot more. Yep, that's unfortunate. The question is, will tire strategy be a thing here? Because it's only a 4-lap race. I'm saving the spray especially for the pretty much the last lap, so it's probably about as much use of the nitrous I'm gonna get. It's definitely got the straight line speed. I don't think many of those Group C cars can get this kind of speed on the straight here. Man, the shaking is awful. You guys are probably able to clearly see it through the screen. But this is like gonna make me sick almost. Because I'm holding it so hard my head's moving too, so it's just like shaking my head around. If I had a GoPro on right now, you guys would be so nauseous. If this were VR. I always take Mulsanne extremely chill. Because I don't want to run off like I was forced to last lap. But we're making up the gap pretty quickly. I'm gonna highly doubt they need tires already. I would be probably even more expecting them to pit after next lap. My gosh. If I didn't get taken out by the Nissan, I wouldn't have to rely so much on a possible pit strategy. Because I don't know if they are going to pit this race. I mean, my tires are barely getting ate up. And we're already almost halfway through the race. Alright, we're already threatening the Nissan that about ruined our race here, so let's not take it out, but get some well-deserved payback. It looks like it still wants to actively end our race. I'm not going to let this Nissan be the reason I lose this. Ah, that about did it, though. I'm going to need this car to really reel that Toyota in. The Nissan ran wide there. Only 3 seconds off the Minolta. Do I spray though? Because I'm trying to save it for last lap here. And I will be genuinely surprised if they pit in this lap. See if we can get a little bit of assistance up to 200. Let the car take over from there. All right, 2 seconds. It's manageable. It's going to come down to the last lap, isn't it? Of course it is. I don't like this. I do not like this at all. So it doesn't look like they're going to stop for tires at any point at this point. Oh my goodness, what? We got 1 lap to go and he's pitting? No way. Oh, I was hoping to give you guys a bit of a battle to close this out. Are any of the others pitting? It was just the Minolta was pitting. Wow. That just handed us the title. Or handed me the title, like, with no resistance. That was pretty much them just saying, here, take the win. That is something. So now I just need to fight off the 2 Nissans, which, well, one of them is a threat physically. Aren't really a threat to my race. So is this thing gonna hit 2? Oh, it can't hit 240. It's out of gearing at 240. That's something. Totally thought this car had way more gearing in it. Let's go well over 240 miles an hour. Man, the wheel is vibrating so loud it's picking up on the mic. I am so sorry for your ears. This thing is shaking so violently. I have no idea why. I don't remember that being a thing in the real deal. I'm probably going to save the rest of the spray for the secondary straight here after Mulsanne. gosh. Alright, let's rocket away from here. That race win was just handed to us. I cannot believe that. It's insane. I've never had that happen before, like where I've been in a title fight in the game pretty much just like, here, have a race win. Take the win, take the championship title, why don't you? So, I guess that makes the most hectic 10 races of my GT career. Uneventful for ending. That's something that I did not expect. I expected to have to battle it out with that Minolta here at the end here. Definitely not as smooth as my 2021 playthrough, how that ended here. It's been a very brutal 10 races. Lots of anger, but lots of surprises, positive and negative, and obviously some race wins to back it up. The most challenge by far this entire time, because, you know, with other races series, like other races we did in this game where I was struggling, it was mostly due to the car. It wasn't really as much of a skill issue. With this one, it just feels accomplishing, because this one was just all down to everything. It was a culmination of how hard this series was and how difficult it is to do this challenge. But yeah, that ends it all. The Minolta finished in P4, which just gave us a 9-point lead. I could have almost taken the race off after this. But what better way to close out probably the most grueling Gran Turismo challenge ever that I've done so far. Obviously, I know that the next one's going to be even worse. But yeah, that is the end of the GT4 Germanlocke. And I'm not doing this again. As you can imagine, this is a one-time thing for me. That was so brutal. And of course, to commemorate it, after we just raced with high-end prototype race cars, here's a Ford GT. At least it looks good. And now the ending movie is unlocked, which is going to play for us anyway. So, I think to wrap things up, I just want to say thank you. I know this has been a brutal series, and I couldn't be more thankful for you guys joining me on this journey. I know it's not been as entertaining as GT2 Plus was, but I guess to answer the question asked in the very first episode, can you beat Gran Turismo 4 with just German cars? To an extent. That's the thing. Obviously, the Sport Truck Race and the K-Car Cup are the only things holding you back from doing so completely. But if you do what I did and just exploit the loophole while I wasn't driving it, and then you just B-spec those races, technically you could. It's definitely tricky, because getting a German car to start off with means clearing the B license, which most people will do anyway. So, I mean, you get your first one pretty easily. And as we proved, the Lupo can be made to be fairly quick. It was definitely a brutal later half of the game, though. So, yeah, that's that. Next up, we're going to be doing a Gran Turismo 3 prize car only run. And this is going to be start of what I like to call the Nostalgia series. It's going to be finally the return of Pokemon to the channel after a several-year hiatus. We're going to be playing through Gran Turismo 3 at the same time as Pokemon Leaf Green. My first two games in both franchises. GT3 is going to be a full challenge run, which is probably not the best way to introduce GT3 to the channel. But it's something I've been wanting to do for a while, and it gives me a chance to experiment with a lot of cars, which, of course, I did with this series as well. And so maybe doing a full-fledged playthrough is the better option. But the plan was to do a prize scrolling. I'm gonna think on that a little bit more before I start filming it. Because, honestly, the prize scrolling run will probably be more brutal than this. And I think I need a break from super restrictive challenges after that. Maybe we'll do, like, a different... Well, maybe we'll finish up, we'll do a normal Gran Turismo 3 playthrough and then finish GT5 and then do a Gran Turismo 3 prize currently run. But we're going to do that and Pokemon Leaf Green at the same time because those are my first games of both series. But anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap things up here. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.